Get the.
Welcome back to Verses and Vibes with Thinker and Bash. This is episode 20.
20 episodes in.
20 episodes in.
The dub.
Yeah. A huge marker for us. I see TT was here at 11:02. TT was here an hour ago.
In here, ready for it.
Let me put a comment. What's up, Nikita? Let me put a comment in our Discords. Let people know
Okay.
that
Sweetness.
we are live. Wait just a second. I forgot to do this before we went live.
I did too. Oh, but you gonna drop it in my Discord?
Mm-hmm.
Sweet, thank you.
You're welcome. You know I got your back, Bash.
Thank you so much. Welcome to our first episode of Humanity is Fried.
Yeah.
I'm just kidding. Yeah. What you saying, though?
I was thinking, I'm excited that Justin asked, for us to do a debate on the show. And I was thinking to myself, I was like, man, if only Bash was gonna be there with me. Because I don't know. I just feel safe. Uh, yeah, I feel safe when I'm with you. Like I trust
love
you. I
that.
trust you with my life.
I love that.
Yeah, so I'm excited. I'm excited that we're gonna.
What date is it though?
He said his producers are gonna email us with all of
Okay.
the logistics and everything. So
Okay.
yeah, I'm excited.
You know the debate topic?
No, I
Oh,
hope it ain't prove God exists because I hate those because
yeah,
no
okay.
one can win. That's like a battle of the wits. Um, like something like human respect for human life is superior. The concept, like I wish, like I could do like the concept of respect for human life is a superior concept to Christian teachings or ethical
Yeah, something like
framework.
that.
Yeah,
Yeah.
something like that. But I guess we will see, and I hope it's not one of those you'll get the debate topic on the day of the debate. I
Well,
hope
then
it's
you
not
can't
that.
really prepare. Yeah.
Yeah. And then I don't usually debate, so like this will actually be my first debate.
Okay.
And so that's going to be interesting because I hate listening to people's word salad and not being able to like interject and be like that logically doesn't make sense. But I think in a debate you have to like sit and listen to the other side, roll your
Yeah.
eyes a bit.
Yeah.
So that's going to work my patience too.
Yeah.
But
But what you can do like you normally do with just like sketch you some little notes because the debate tactic is the official Gish Gallop. That's where the term Gish Gallop comes from. It's debating,
okay.
right? So let me give you the heads up on if it's one of those kinds of debates. All right, a Gish Gallop basically. No, okay. First and foremost, if they're in the affirmative, they're gonna go first, right? And they're gonna say a bunch of nothing. This is what they always do. They say a bunch of, and they jump from topic to topic to topic to topic. They don't make a point.
Yeah.
Normally, it's just a bunch of words, right? Okay. You just take your notes. Okay, you said this and this and this and this and this, and I feel like this and this and this and this and this. All right. Then it's your turn, and you're gonna give your opening salvo. Do not look at your notes yet. Go with your first round where you
Okay.
say, okay, these are my points, right?
Okay.
Then you probably get a cross-examination round. When you get to your cross-examination round, now you go to your notes and say, you said da 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 da.
Okay.
Right, okay. And then you get to go back and forth. And then normally they open it up for a free round. But if you get it disorganized in your mind, you'll spend forever trying to
Address their points in their
yes.
opening.
And they're gonna be
Yeah.
making so many points that it's gonna waste your round. You know what I'm
Okay.
saying? It's gonna take forever for you to really address how many wrong things they said. That's normally how it goes. And then they get to the end and be like, well, you didn't refute when I said that an apple is red. I win. You're like, oh, shut up. You know
Yeah.
what I'm saying?
Yeah.
So yeah, just
Because I
jot your
think
notes down.
I think the debate is more so about the skill of the debate
Yes.
more than it is about what a person is actually debating.
Yes. Yes.
And that, yeah.
Yeah,
And so
you don't have to be right to be a good debater. You can be a
and
great
that's the
debater.
thing that I
You're wrong.
hate about it, right? Like I could see if I was like in a college course and we were debating based on like skill set, right?
Yeah.
That's different. I could tear a motherfucker up because all I have to do was just focus on the skills that I use. But I think with me, focusing so much on more of what I say, right?
Mm-hmm.
And the impact of what I say having on the people that's hearing it. I don't
Mm-hmm.
too much care about whether I win a debate or not. And
Yeah.
so like moving into this, it's gonna be interesting. It's gonna be interesting for me to give a fuck about winning the debate, if
Yeah,
that makes
I don't
sense.
really like debates either. Not really.
Yeah.
Like because I prefer to know what is true, not how
Mhm.
did you present it.
Yeah.
You know,
Yeah.
but debating
Yeah.
is about presentation style and how well did you build an argument, which is why I wanted to do. I've been asking somebody for the longest to do a reverse debate with me. Um, like let me take the Christian side and you take the atheist side. And the reason that I want somebody to do that for me is because it's and people are scared to do it. But if it was truly about how well you put together an argument, if because that's what debates are supposed to be about, and
You can
it's
argue either
you
side.
can argue either side,
Yeah. I
right?
think so. Me and Dr. B and Dr. Kip Davis,
Mm-hmm.
are putting together another Come At Me. So I think, like, before they ban the app, that would be a cool thing to get a Christian that would feel comfortable debating the atheist side, and
Mm-hmm.
then you take the Christian side,
I
and
definitely
let
think
y'all do that on that same night where me and Dr. Kip and Dr. B are debating believers. So like we'll do like the first round would be you and a believer reverse role debate.
yeah.
Yeah. And then come in with that. I think that'd be pretty cool.
I think it would be dope. And the reason I think it would be dope is because, like, again, I've been a Christian. You know what I'm saying?
Mhm.
I know this argument very well.
Yeah.
Like, you've never been an atheist. So you don't know the argument. So while it would be cool for me to brush up, you know what I'm saying? Get my, see if I can present their side fairly, see if I can present it, if I can put my bias against it to the side and really focus on their argument to get that out. And the same thing for them.
Yeah. What
Put your bias
Christian
to the
would
side.
you think would be perfect for that? Like, do you have anybody in mind that
Most of
would
the
feel comfortable taking the atheist side and debating you?
I don't. I can think of maybe one person, and this. I hadn't seen him around in a long time though. He's a pretty honest guy though. Maybe two. Remember that guy that was popping up on? He came up for like 2 3 weeks. The black guy, real calm voice, quite the Christian, but really reasonable. You know what I'm talking about? He popped up around us for he. Oh my God, I can't remember his name, but he was coming around for like 2 3 weeks. Real calm voice, black guy. He would always be like, "Yeah, I see where you're going." Not, but he was actually reasonable. Oh my God, I can't
I
remember.
can't, I don't know.
He was
Huh.
a younger guy. Um, he was pretty smart. I just can't remember his name. I have to look and see if I can find it. But that may be the only person I can think of that I would really like.
You think Jamal for Jesus could do
Hell no.
it?
Hell no, man. Jamal has a heart. Well, he's getting better, but you notice you hadn't seen Jamal around as much either.
Mm-mm, no.
Because I think he's actually like getting better. And when you start to get better, you go away.
Oh wow.
Yeah, like the last time I talked to him, he was a bit too reasonable. He was like,
Really?
I can see where you're coming from with that. And then I ain't seen him no more. You know? And so he probably back at church somewhere, you know,
Or
probably
having
sugar and
second
pride.
thoughts about all this. So some thought has like resonated in his mind and he probably can't get past that.
And
Right?
so yeah,
Yeah.
he
Like
got
there
to go
was
tap up
a
on his indoctrination.
have you met Marissa yet?
Which Marissa?
She's a new nerd.
Okay.
She is one of the on fire for Jesus Christians that ended up getting blocked from the live. And so she made a backup account and she came back and she stayed incognito. Like we didn't know she was back in the lives listening. And
Yeah.
so she decided that while she was listening under this incognito account, that she would research and fact check the stuff that we were saying.
Okay.
She came on the live the other night from her main account that says her name and all that, and she was like, "I ain't no Christian no more." She's like, "Fuck that." was like, I didn't know this God condones slavery. I didn't know. Like she just started listing off stuff. And
Wow.
then like, but yeah.
Wow. Well, that means you're doing right. I would much rather that you fact check me than that you argue with me. You know, like
Yeah.
if I'm wrong, just go look it up. Tell me I'm wrong. You know what I'm saying? That's okay. It's okay to be wrong. It's not okay to be dishonest.
Exactly. And
Yeah.
I don't think that we had a guy on the live Thursday morning. I mean Friday morning, right before the we took the break for the weekend,
Yeah.
and Fee and I were talking to him, and he didn't recognize that even his dodging of questions, dishonesty, like as if he didn't know the question we were asking, like he didn't understand it, he didn't know the answer. He didn't see that as being dishonest, and he didn't see that even as a form of hate, right? Because we were talking about Jesus. If you don't hate your mother, your brother, your sister, even yourself, then you can't be my disciple. He
Mm-hmm.
was saying that that love needed to feel like hate. He was like, he wasn't saying to hate them. He was saying the love for them should feel like hate when it comes to him. And I'm like, it's still hate.
What the fuck does that even mean?
Exactly. Like it's still hate. Like, how do you love someone and make it feel like hate and it not be hate? But and I tried to like show him that even your dodging of answers, pretending you don't comprehend the questions that we're asking, pretending you don't know the answer to the questions. You may not be outright lying, but your
Mm-hmm.
dishonesty
To
is
be dishonest.
deceitful, and that
Mm-hmm.
feels like hate for me and Fee,
Mm-hmm.
right? Because we're
Mm-hmm.
non-believers. You know what I'm saying?
Mm-hmm.
What's up to the gang? What's up, TT? What's up, Mama Dula in the house? Uh, Sir is the name in the house. Divinely autistic. What's up, y'all? What's up, Lala?
Lala, what's going on,
Love
darling?
bug.
What's up, everybody?
Yeah. Mama Dula said, "I'm a nerd. I do all things." I love it. I love it.
Glad to have y'all, man.
But yeah, and I'm excited. We're like 3 months away from the family trip. I cannot wait for that.
Super excited about that.
Yeah,
Super excited
yeah,
about that. That's gonna
yeah,
be so much
super.
fun.
Yeah. But y'all, okay. So today we're talking about the baby mama drama
Baby mama
uh
drama.
with Jacob, Leah, Rachel, Bilhah, Zilpah, and the father-in-law get back. I think Jacob gets everything he deserves when it comes to karma in this story.
Okay.
But I also think it parallels a little bit with the Cain and Abel story. And then after we read it, I'll tell you why I think that, and then
Okay.
see if we can like think through that.
Okay. That'll be
Okay,
good.
so I'm gonna read Genesis 29 all the way through first,
Okay.
and I don't think it's much to talk about Genesis 29 unless you see something you want to talk about, and then we go to Genesis 30.
Okay.
Um, Let me share my screen. All right. So then Jacob went on his journey. Okay, first we're picking up where the deceiver. I'm just gonna call him the deceiver
Mm-hmm.
right now because
Mm-hmm.
that's what he is. All
Mm-hmm.
right. Jacob the deceiver went on his journey and came to the land of the people of the east. As he looked, he saw a well in the field and three flocks of sheep lying there beside it. For out of that well the flocks were watered. The stone on the well's mouth was large, and when all the flocks were gathered there, the shepherd would roll the stone from the mouth of the well and water the sheep and put the stone back in its place on the mouth of the well. Jacob said to them, "My brothers, where do you come from?" They said, "We are from Haran." He said to them, "Do you know Laban, son of Nahor?" They said, "We do." He said to them, "Is it well with him?" "Yes," they replied, "and here is his daughter Rachel coming with the sheep." He said, "Look, it is still broad daylight. It is not time for the animals to be gathered together. Water the sheep and go pasture them." But they said, "We cannot until all the flocks are gathered together and the stone is rolled from the mouth of the well. Then we water the sheep." While he was still speaking with them, Rachel came with her father's sheep, and she kept them. Now, when Jacob saw Rachel, the daughter of his mother's brother Laban, and the sheep of his mother's brother Laban, Jacob went up and rolled the stone from the well's mouth and watered the flock of his mother's brother Laban. Then Jacob kissed Rachel and wept aloud. What did he say? What did he say when he wept aloud? Bash. This is the question I wanted to ask you. What did Jacob say when he saw Rachel?
Fuck!
only imagine when I read that, I said, I got to ask Bash, what did Jacob say? Like, what in the hell is that?
What was you saying, bro?
And Jacob told Rachel that he was her father's kinsman and that he was Rebekah's son, and she ran and told her father. When Laban heard the news about his sister's son Jacob, he ran to meet him. He embraced him and kissed him and brought him to his house. Jacob told Laban all these things, and Laban said to him, "Surely you are bone and my flesh." And he stayed with him a month. Then Laban said to Jacob, "Because you are my kinsman, should you therefore serve me for nothing? Tell me, what should your wages be?" Now, Laban had two daughters. The name of the elder was Leah, and the name of the younger was Rachel. Leah's eyes were weak. What does this mean? Was she cross eyed? Was she blind?
Lazy eye is what they normally say about her. She
Oh,
had
she had
one
a
lazy eye.
lazy eye.
Yeah.
Cross eyed. What did Miss Charlene cross eyed?
Cockeyed Lois.
Cockeyed Lois. So Rachel, Leah was basically cockeyed
Cockeyed
Lois.
Leah. Oh,
Cockeyed Leah.
cockeyed Leah. Yeah.
Okay. So Jacob loved Rachel. Hold on, but Rachel was graceful and beautiful. Jacob loved Rachel, so he said, "I will serve you 7 years for your younger daughter, Rachel." Laban said, "It is better that I give her to you than that I should give her to any other man. Stay with me." So Jacob served 7 years for Rachel, and they seemed to him but a few days because of his love for her. Then Jacob said to Laban, "Give me my wife that I may go in to her, for my time is completed." So Laban gathered together all the people of the place and made a feast. But in the evening, he took his daughter Leah and brought her to Jacob, and he went in to her. Laban gave his maid Zilpah to his daughter Leah to be her maid. When morning came, it was Leah. And Jacob said to Laban, "What is this that you've done to me? Did I not serve you for Rachel? Why then have you deceived me?" Laban said, "This is not done in our country, given the younger before the firstborn. Complete the week of this one, and we will give you the other also in return for serving me another 7 years." Jacob did so and completed her week. Then Laban gave him his daughter Rachel as a wife. Laban gave his maid Bilhah to his daughter Rachel to be her maid. So Jacob went in to Rachel also, and he loved Rachel more than Leah. He served Laban for another 7 years. How in the hell did he not know that it was Leah and not Rachel?
You be drunk, man. It'd be a feast. You be drunk.
That's what so he was too drunk to recognize.
That's really the only thing that's the only thing I could even imagine. He was drunk.
And Leah had to be complacent with it, or compliant, like complacent, complicit.
Yeah.
She had to be
Yeah.
complicit with it. She wanted, obviously she was like, "Oh, okay, like I'm cockeyed Leah, nobody's gonna want me." This
Like, I want
like
to marry me,
he
so I'm
was
gonna just go and slide in. And then Rachel had to be complicit because, like, she wasn't there, right? Like,
Rachel was probably somewhere tied up.
tied up is crazy. She had to be at her sister's wedding. Somebody, you know what I'm saying?
But like the wedding, right? Like, was there a like in the ancient Near East? There is a whole week, right? That's why it says complete her week, right?
Yeah.
There's a whole week of celebration, right?
Yeah.
Like, where was Rachel at the wedding? Like, he didn't know that it was
He,
Rachel. Like,
I
what
mean,
type
keep in
of
mind, you've been drinking the whole time, right? You drunken the whole time, and she had to be there, right? Like, she had to be there. Well, not case that she had to be there, but I mean, I would imagine that she would be there. This would have took a lot of coordination. Let's just say it that way.
yeah? Like, was
Yeah.
there did they have ceremonies before he went into her, or was this just like a he just went into her type thing?
I don't know.
Right? So
Oh
like
yeah,
it doesn't make sense. But and I think this might be where the rivalry starts, right, with the sisters.
yeah,
I think another thing is we know that weeks at first when I first started like reading this, I thought the week was another 7 year period because we know in the story of Daniel, the 70 weeks means periods of
yeah.
seven. Yeah. So, but I guess this would not necessarily, when it says complete another week or complete the week, it's
Mm.
saying the week of uh
Ceremony.
the ceremony and not complete another 7 years, meaning a week, right?
Yeah. Although he did have to complete another 7 years, but yeah. Yeah.
Okay. And then, so when he did that, did he get Rachel immediately after the week of celebrating, or did he have to wait the full 7 years the second time to get Rachel?
I believe it was the full 7 years. And I think it kind of explains that as we keep going on. I think read me the last verse that you just read. I've always thought it was another 7 years, and then they got married because afterwards he kind of collects them collectively, and you don't really see any of their interaction in his second 7 years.
Well, the reason why I'm asking is because of all these children that we're going to talk about in the in the
Yeah.
next. So, okay, so Jacob did so and completed her week, and when it says her week, that's what makes me think it's talking about the ceremony. Then
Mhm.
it says, then Laban gave his daughter Rachel as a wife. So when it says, then Laban gave his daughter Rachel as a wife, that's what making me ask, did he do it immediately after the week ceremony was up?
What the reason I say it was after 7 years is because what does it say? Go read the verse right before that.
Let's see. Laban said this, it is not done in our country, giving the younger before the firstborn. Complete the week of this one, and
Mhm.
we will give you the other, and we will give you the other also in return for serving me another 7 years.
Yeah. So the when it says and Jacob did so,
Hmm.
I'm thinking, okay, this is all the things he's asking you to do. Could do this ceremony part. Give me the 7 years. You can have a daughter. So the so I'm counting all that as so. Jacob
Hmm.
did all of that.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right. So Jacob went into Rachel also, and he loved Rachel more than Leah. He served Laban for another 7 years. That's what makes me think that.
Oh,
You see what I'm
well,
saying?
maybe
That's
it
what
was.
makes me think he
Oh,
got them both at the same time, like a week apart.
oh, maybe so. Maybe so.
Okay. When the Lord saw that Leah was unloved, he opened her womb, but Rachel was barren. Leah conceived and bore a son, and she named him Reuben, for she said, because the Lord has looked on my affliction, surely now my husband will love me. She conceived again and bore a son, and said, because the Lord has heard that I am hated, he has given me this son also. She named him Simeon. Again, she conceived and bore a son, and said, now this time my husband will be joined to me, because I have borne him three sons. Therefore, he was named Levi. She conceived again and bore a son, and said, this time I will praise the Lord. Therefore, she named him Judah. Then she ceased bearing. So she became barren
Okay.
after that, right? Or did she? Okay, so Leah is pertinent. Like, she has the majority of the tribes so far.
Yeah.
She's also hated. Interesting.
Yes.
When it comes, like, what do you think the theological message was? The intent for that was, like, for her to be the hated one, yet she literally birthed where the Davidic line came from. Like,
That's
what's
what
the
that was the
purpose
point.
of that?
That's the point. Because again, when Judah catch a bad rap throughout this whole thing,
Mm.
right? Judah is they mama wasn't good. Nobody liked their mama. They daddy wasn't good. Nobody liked their daddy. Um, Judah catch a bad rap through this whole situation.
Wait, nobody liked when so in the rest of the story as we go on, people are gonna say they didn't like Jacob.
They don't like Judah.
Oh, they don't like Judah
They don't like Judah.
because
Yeah.
of their mama and daddy, or
No. Their
oh,
mama was hated. Judah they didn't like. Well, I don't really know why they didn't like Judah like that, but they didn't like Judah, and you're gonna find that out. The whole Judah Tamar story is all about how nasty Judah was, and then every time they go down to Judah, they nasty down there. They like that's a common theme, a common trope down here, right? Even the retelling of the Sodom and Gomorrah story. Where does it happen? Bethlehem, Judah, right? They horrible people down there. Nobody likes Judah.
okay,
Or at least in most of the stores they don't, right?
okay.
And I think
But
that
that's the
this
north.
starts, huh?
That's the north didn't like Judah. Is that what it was?
Yeah,
Okay.
yeah.
And then Leah births. So Judah had the largest amount of the tribes, and is that including Levi and all of them, or is it that Judah really had like the largest amount of tribes?
I
Um,
think they just had the largest amount of people. Levi,
okay.
Levi kind of gets split up amongst everybody.
Hmm.
right? But Judah carries later on when the land gets split up. So Benjamin lives in Judah, and then there are always Levites in Judah, right?
Yeah.
Levites live everywhere.
Hmm.
But I think by number, when you get to numbers, you'll see that Judah just has the largest single tribe.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. Because I was wondering if that included if that was like because of the sons, but okay, so that's separate. All right.
Yeah.
So now Leah is barren and Rachel is like seething hot because she's beautiful, she's graceful, and yet she can't have kids. But her sister, who is cockeyed, has all these kids with the husband that she stole from her. Okay. Genesis 30. Anything else you want to say about Genesis 29?
No, that's fine. We keep going.
Okay.
Let's talk to that.
All right. Genesis 30. When Rachel saw that she bore Jacob no children, she envied her sister, and she said to Jacob, "Give me children, or I shall die." Jacob became very angry with Rachel and said, "Am I in the place of God, who has who has withheld you, who has withheld from you the fruit of the womb?" Like the fact that he became very angry with her. That's interesting.
I mean, but telling somebody give me children or I will die is a bit outlandish. This
I mean,
whole
but just
conversation.
he can say it. He can say it like, "Look, love, love. I would if I could, but I shall not, because I am not in the place of Yahweh." But like getting very angry.
This whole conversation is ludicrous.
I don't know. I
Give
think
me
it's.
children or I'll die. You're being dramatic. You're being dramatic. Go in there and eat some curds. You're hungry.
I think like shoot, she probably did feel like she was gonna die.
Go eat some locusts and wild honey.
She's jealous at this point. Like she's seething hot. Her sister is having all these babies in front of her, and she's at this point. Like Jacob tells Laban, right, that he's blessed because of God. Like Jacob is blessed because of God. Maybe she thought that Jacob could go to God and ask God to open her womb.
maybe she does. Yeah, I mean, that's a good. When you believe that there's a magic guy in the sky, then maybe I guess you could believe that.
Yeah, I think the very angry part is very telling. Like when it comes to his personality, we already know he's a deceiver, or maybe I'm just
Yeah,
being biased because I don't like this dude. It could be that I'm just
it
being
could
biased.
be. No, that's fair. That's fair. That's
Yeah.
fair.
Then she said,
But can we admit that "or I will die" is a
"It
bit
is."
dramatic?
I admit it. I admit. Yeah, she was being very
Okay,
dramatic.
just
She was
a
being,
bit dramatic. You know what I'm saying?
hey,
Like,
jealousy will do that shit. She's
yeah.
being very dramatic. Um, am I in the place of God, who has withheld from you the fruit of the womb? Then she said, "Here is my maid Bilhah. Go in to her, that she may bear upon my knees, and that I too may have children through her." So she gave him her maid Bilhah as a wife, and Jacob went in to her. And Bilhah conceived and bore Jacob a son. Then Rachel said, "God has judged me and has also heard my voice and given me a son." Therefore she named him Dan. Rachel's maid Bilhah conceived again and bore Jacob a second son. Then Rachel said, "With mighty wrestlings I have wrestled with my sister and have prevailed." So she named him Naphtali. I think here we are again with the sibling rivalry,
Uh-huh.
like Cain and Abel,
Mm-hmm.
Jacob and Esau,
Mm-hmm.
Rachel and Leah.
Mm-hmm.
And to me, I think it's just
Judah Ephraim.
Judah, Ephraim. Yeah,
Mm-hmm.
yeah. And then I wanted to know more about what she meant bear upon my knees, and that speaks also to a custom where if a woman in the ancient Near East was barren and she used her slave as a surrogate, the slave, once the slave had the baby, she would have to place the baby on the knee
Mm-hmm.
of the slave master of the woman, and that would symbolize, "I didn't have this baby, you did."
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, and so that's what that means, bear upon my knees, or like a custom of adoption.
Mm-hmm.
um so when Leah saw that she had ceased bearing children, so Leah's barren, she took her maid Zilpah and gave her to Jacob as a wife. Leah like, "Oh, you gonna use your maid, I'm gonna
Use
use
mine.
mine."
Yeah.
Then Leah's maid Zilpah bore Jacob a son, and Leah said, "Good fortune." so she named him Gad. Leah's maid Zilpah bore Jacob a second son, and Leah said, "Happy am I, for women will call me happy," so she named him Asher. In the days of wheat harvest, Reuben went and found mandrakes in the field and brought them to his mother Leah. Then Rachel said to Leah, "Please give me some of your son's mandrakes." But she said to her, "It is a small matter that you have taken away my husband. Would you take away my son mandrakes also?" She just being petty at this point. Like y'all been sharing this man since day one.
And this man been around here fucking everything. This man, does he have a job?
He worked for their daddy.
God, dog, how does he do it? Because keep in mind, you have 4 kids. I don't know how much older each one is than the other. That ain't even my business.
And we're gonna get into that because I did the math.
Yeah.
You know I did the math because I'm like, hold the hell up.
How is this even a thing? Right? Then you had to find out they was barren, which means in order for you to know they barren, you still had to try.
Exactly.
Right? Yeah.
Yeah, like it's crazy. So at this point, Leah is petty. When Jacob came from the field in the evening, Leah went out to meet him and said, "You must come in to me." Hold on. Wait. But she said to her, "Is it a small matter that you have taken away my husband? Would you take away my son Mandrakes also?" Rachel said, "Then he may lie with you tonight for your son's Mandrake." She done sold the D for a Mandrake.
Sometimes you be hungry, man. You know, I told her we need to go eat just a minute ago. She hungry.
She done switched him out for a Mandrake. When Jacob came from the field in the evening, Leah went out to meet him and said, "You must come in to me, for I have hired you." Now, this is something new in the text because normally it's the woman's body being hired out. Like, I think it's interesting because Laban is literally buying Rachel and Leah from her dad in exchange for labor.
Jacob.
I mean, Jacob
Yeah.
in exchange for labor,
Yeah.
right? And now Leah goes to Jacob and she's like, "I just bought you for the
I
night."
bought that dick, bring it in here.
I think that's interesting. This is the one time in the text that we see a woman has hired out a man's D. Is
Bought
it?
that
Is it the
night.
one time? Um, I've hired you, and then she bought it. She did it with her son's mandrake.
Right.
So he lay with her that night, and God heeded Leah, and she conceived and bore Jacob a fifth son. So, like at this point in the story, we can see that this God favors Leah while Jacob favors Rachel.
Yeah.
Because remember, Leah was barren
Yeah.
and he done opened up Leah's womb again before he even opens Rachel's womb one time.
Yeah. Yeah.
Interesting. Interesting. Okay. And God heeded Leah as she conceived and bore Jacob a fifth son. Leah said, "God has given me my hire because I gave my maid to my husband." So she named him Issachar.
Mhm.
And Leah conceived again, and she bore Jacob a sixth son. Then Leah said, "God has endowed me with a good gift. Now my husband will honor me because I have borne him six sons." So she named him Zebulun. Afterwards, she bore a daughter and named her Dinah. Hold on, my light went off. Uh, Dinah or Dinah. People say it two different ways.
Yeah.
Then God remembered Rachel, and God heeded her and opened her womb. So, like, all of a sudden, God remembers Rachel. Like, what did he have against Rachel all this time?
He didn't want to heat her. That's he was holding off before he heated that thing up.
She conceived and bore a son and said, "God has taken away my reproach." And she named him Joseph, saying, "May the Lord add to me another son." When Rachel had born when Rachel
Rachel.
had born Joseph, Jacob said to Laban, "Send me away that I may go to my own home and country." Why is he asking to be sent away if like he's free at this point, right? He's
Yeah.
completed his years. Why is he asking permission?
Redactions.
Okay.
Yeah.
Give me my wives and my children for whom I have served you, and let me go, for you know very well the service I have given you. But Laban said to him, If you will allow me to say so, I have learned by divination that the Lord has blessed me because of you. Name your wages, and I will give it. Jacob said to him, You yourself know how I have served you and how your livestock have fared with me. For you had little before I came, and it has increased abundantly, and the Lord has blessed you wherever I turned. But now when shall I provide for my own household also? He said, What shall I give you? Jacob said, You shall not give me anything. If you will do this for me, I will again feed your flock and keep it. Let me pass through all your flock today, removing from it every speckled and spotted sheep and every black lamb, and the spotted and speckled among the goats, and such shall be my wages. So my honesty will answer for me later when you come to look into my wages with you. Everyone that is not speckled and spotted among the goats and black among the lambs, if found with me, shall be counted stolen. Laban said, Good, let it be as you have said. But that day Laban removed the male goats that were stripped and spotted, and all the female goats that were speckled and spotted, everyone that had white on it, and every lamb that was black, and put them in charge of the sons. And he set a distance of 3 days' journey between himself and Jacob, while Jacob was pasturing the rest of Laban's flock. Then Jacob took fresh rods of poplar and almond and plane and peeled white streaks in them, exposing the white of the rods. He set the rods that he had peeled in front of the flocks in the troughs, that is, the watering places where the flocks came to drink. And since they bred when they came to drink, the flocks bred in front of the rods, and so the flocks produced young that were striped, speckled, and spotted. Jacob separated the lambs and set the faces of the flocks towards the striped and the completely black animals and the flock of Laban, and he put his own droves apart and did not put them with Laban's flock. Whenever the stronger of the flock were breeding, Jacob laid the rods and the troughs before the eyes of the flock, that they might breed among the rods. But for the feebler of the flock, he did not lay them there. So the feebler were Laban's and the stronger Jacob's. Thus the man grew exceedingly rich and had large flocks and male and female slaves and camels and donkeys. Why is it? Where did he get the male and female slaves if he didn't have anything when Jacob got there?
What? They just threw them in there with the cameras. I didn't even. He didn't even ask for no slaves. Where did that even come from?
They just had to. It just had to know that. I think this is how it proves that they wanted people to know that this God was okay with slavery. Because what?
Yeah, like you just threw that in there for free. He didn't even. He literally didn't even ask for slaves. He
Yep.
literally was just asking for donkeys. I mean, sheep.
Slavery equal wealth.
Yeah, yeah. I guess
I
they
think
come
so.
along with it.
Yeah, I think so too. When Jacob first gets there, he's like, "Oh, you're my kin. You can't work for me for free." That also speaks volumes when they
Yeah,
say that. You know, they always it was always like a job, and there was something in return.
yeah,
Just even Laban saying that to Jacob proves that it wasn't.
yeah, yeah. And he like this idea of being being able to leave with his wife that he got while he was serving, right?
Hmm.
While he was working. So when he leaves, he says, "Okay, I want to take my wife and my kids with me." Right? And you'll know, like when you get into the law, you can't do that,
Right.
right? Like if you get a wife and kid while you working for somebody, that belongs to your master, right?
Hmm.
The only way you can do that is if you stay forever, right? So this seems to be some kind of discordance with what ends up being codified as law, right?
I think it also speaks to the time that it was written because uh the writer has the reason why the writer would put that in there is because during a time where it wasn't you had to stay with the landlord if that landlord gave you wife and children.
That's what I'm saying. So, but in this, Jacob is saying, no, give me my wife and kids. I'm leaving,
Yeah.
right? And so what goes on to be codified in law is you can't do that,
Hmm.
right? If a master give you a wife and y'all have some kids, if you didn't come with her, you can't leave with her, right? So I think it's interesting to see that like it's codified different than this story would suggest, right? This story would suggest that if you are a Hebrew and you how am I trying to say this? If it would suggest, like if this goes, if it would have been codified this way, it would have suggested that, okay, as a Hebrew person, if you come into your, work for your brethren, and he gives you a wife and kids, they're yours, right? Like, and you can take them, but it's not codified that way later. So I find it really interesting that those two things don't, like, then what am I trying to say?
I think I think it's because because we can clearly see, like, I think it's evidence that this was written during like the 7th century. You know what I'm saying? Like, the reason why the writer would put that in there is because of the Sinai covenant, right? Saying that like you said, the law says that if your master gave you the wife, you have to. I think they're trying to say, oh, he didn't. To me, it just feels like it proves that it was written during the 7th century.
Yeah. It was definitely written around. I just find it weird that they didn't codify it the way that it's written, right? Like, again, if you were writing a law based on this story, so clearly there was an argument about this somewhere.
Oh, I think they were trying to show an exception because it was Jacob.
Yeah, like, but that exception should keep in mind, if we're talking about Israelites, like Judah versus Israel or Rachel versus Leah or something, there is clearly an argument between the sides as to how they see this. So in other words, somebody somewhere is going to point to this and say, hey, Jacob did this. Oh, somebody goes, no, but the law says this, right? So clearly there is an argument in the culture about how they should handle that. And it is, no different than, like, if you go back and look at, God, why my brain just caught a fart. Okay, like if you go back and read the Noah story, right? 2 of everything, 7 clean, 2 unclean. You see what I'm saying? So clearly there's an argument about where the sacrifice sits in the culture, right? Somebody's trying to put that sacrifice in there. Somebody said it's not necessary.
Yeah,
right?
Yeah.
I feel like the same thing is kind of being written into the story here.
Yeah, right? I agree.
Yeah. But yes, all 7th century literature, but I'm saying it's not like this, everybody agrees that this is how this should work. It couldn't be, because right now they're writing this story that says, hey man, my father Jacob, when he had finished working his time for his wives and he got them while he was working, he could leave with them. Right?
Do you think that this would have been something that they would have used by the time it got to the Leviticus? But and why? Like, I'm saying, in the argument of as to why it changes in Leviticus.
I don't know. I don't know.
When was Leviticus written? Was Leviticus also written in the 7th century?
All of it, yeah. Most of Torah. But the thing about Leviticus is, like, if you look up when it was written, it will say somewhere in between the 9th and the 7th century or something like that, right? Okay. So I don't know which hit paper first. In other words, if I'm making sense. Yeah, but I definitely see that this outline that's written in the story is different than the code, right? Like most of the time, like if you look at that, like again, if we're talking about the Noah and the flood, you can see the outline of sacrifice written in the law.
Right.
You get what I'm saying? Or if you look and see, like, I don't know, it's a lot of little, the tithes. You can see the outline of the tithe in Melchizedek written in the law in Deuteronomy. You feel what I'm saying? And they go together. This one is not, like, the outline doesn't match the law.
Yeah. I see what you're saying. Who do you think would have, so this would have been written by Judah, or do you think this part, can you see influences of Ephraim in this story as well, or do you think all of this, the story about Jacob, was written completely by Judah?
I don't know. That's one of the things I would have to. I'm gonna defer to somebody like Dr. Bowen. I literally don't know.
Because it makes me wonder, like, who would have
who would want it that way?
Yeah.
I don't know who would want it that way. I don't think I know enough about the disagreement. It just really dawned on me that it was a disagreement at all.
Yeah.
Right. Like, that just hit me that, like, oh wait, that's not what the law says. The law says the other way around. If he got a wife for serving for somebody, but technically she was a wage. And maybe that's the argument.
that she
Right.
was a wage.
She was a wage.
But
His
why would he
wives
be
were
asking?
wages.
But why would he be asking for them to be for him to be able to leave with them if she
Well,
was a
that's
wage?
what I'm saying. But
Because
keep
look,
in
he
mind
did
that
offer
originally,
her as a wage.
huh?
He did offer her as a wage,
Yeah,
remember? And then he
yeah.
said no. Jacob said no or something, right?
Did it?
Um,
Go back.
let's see. He said,
Because
let me see.
was it
Uh
29?
29. Let's see. Because you are my kinsman, you should therefore serve me for nothing. Tell me, what shall your wages be? Now
Okay.
Laban had two daughters. The name of the elder was Leah, and the name of the younger was Rachel. Leah's eyes were weak, but Jacob loved Rachel. I will serve you 7 years for your young daughter Rachel. Is it
Yeah.
better that I? Laban said, "It is better that I give her to you than I should give her to any other man. Stay with me." So yeah, she was a wage.
Yeah, she was a wage.
So then why is he asking for permission to leave? He should just be able to leave, right?
Maybe this is a part of the, again, the redaction in the arguments, right? Because but it's laid out right here that, well, at least the contract says this is what you're working for. This is your wage. So when he says, "Okay, I'm ready to leave with my wage," then I guess technically that's different. That's different. Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. Because it wasn't that he was in debt. This was a wage. Yeah. So he should have been able to leave. I mean, and we talking about this as if they not giving people his money, which is crazy.
And then
But
he's
yeah,
like, I don't want to let you go because ever
you've
since
been
you
so
got
helpful.
here, no,
Yeah, things been going well.
he's like through divination. I've learned through divination that the Lord has blessed me because of you. So either when he says I learned through divination, right? Did he go to
Yeah,
a stage and he's like, wait, there's something about this dude Jacob. Since this dude Jacob got here, I'm just getting rich,
yeah,
right? So
yeah,
and then he says, name your wages and I will give it. So like, were they wages? Because now he's telling him to name his wages because he's like, you served me all this time since you've been here. I've been blessed. Name your wages and I'll give it to you.
yeah. But yeah, his name, his wages, Rachel and Leah. That was their names.
But why is he? They already had names.
They had names.
In
Yeah,
30 though, he says to him, like when he's asking to be let go, right?
yeah,
And he's like, if you allow me to say so, I have learned by divination that the Lord has blessed me because of you. Then he says, name your wages and I will give it. Why is he saying that if the wives were already his wages?
I don't know, but they clearly were wages.
Yeah, they were.
Yeah, yeah, they clearly were wages.
Yeah, it's okay. And can we talk about how Leah had to be pregnant like back to back to back to back to back to back to back?
She was pregnant a lot,
She had to be pregnant for 7 years straight, like with
basically.
no break.
Well, did she get a break when when Bill had two kids?
That's what I'm saying. It's logically, logistically, it just doesn't work. Like she would have, in order for this to actually be like the actual layout of when these children were born,
Yeah,
Leah would have had to have been pregnant 7 years back to back to back. Because keep in mind, he served him 14 years, and the the first 7 years he didn't have a wife,
yeah,
right? I mean, 7 to
yeah.
21 years. The first 7 years he didn't have a wife. The second set of 7 years he got
He had a
Leah,
wife.
and then he got Rachel within a
Yeah,
week later, right? And so,
yeah,
and then he served him another 7 years. So the last 14 years they're having children, right?
yeah,
And he has multiple women pregnant at the same time. But
yeah.
within those last 14 years, Leah would have had to been pregnant like back to 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 back.
Pretty much.
So, okay. Um, at the end of 21 years, Reuben would have been 13,
Okay.
Simeon would have been 12, Levi 11, Judah
It would have been
10,
10.
Dan 10, Naphtali 9, Gad 8, Asher 7, Issachar 7, Zebulon 6, Dinah 6, and Joseph 7. So as he's leaving, he has all uh 12 of his kids under 13 years old.
Yeah, yeah, which is
Like,
crazy.
yeah, and it sounds like it could be feasible. He has multiple women pregnant at the same time, but Leah's body is getting no break. Even though it says that she went barren, um, her body literally is getting no break.
One of them kids was malnourished. I'm sure.
I mean, can, I don't know any woman that can have 7 children back to back to back to back to back to back to back and it not take a toll out on their body.
Oh yeah, it's gonna weigh you down. It's gonna weigh you down.
Yeah. So it's kind of crazy to me. But so what are your thoughts about the whole Cain and Abel's
I mean, how
similarities
you
here?
outline it. I mean, I do see the sibling rivalry, but what?
The
How?
jealousy.
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
Yeah,
What,
like
what are you laying out over?
so Abel was the God's favorite,
Okay.
right? Um the and here Jacob, Leah, Rachel was Jacob's favorite, right? But in the story, Leah's appears to be this God's
Gotcha.
favorite.
Yeah.
And all of the majority of the tribes, especially the Judah tribe, comes from Leah, who appears to be the God's favorite.
Yeah.
Cain appears to be the one that this God doesn't necessarily like.
Mm-hmm.
He rejects his sacrifice. Rebecca seems to be rejected by the God, and the two tribes that come from Rebecca, those are tribes of the north,
Mm-hmm.
right?
Mm-hmm.
So I think it's just the sibling rivalry
Mm-hmm.
between the and the jealousy, right? The jealousy between the sisters, and the jealousy between Cain and Abel. Um, it just seems like the same type of archetype of a story, but this time it's just using women and babies.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
That's what I think.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, yeah, I can see that. It's just another one of those like sibling rivalry tropes. You know, again, like you see in Jacob and Esau, like you see in Ephraim and Judah, like you see Cain and Abel. You know, you run into those a lot. You run into those a lot. Like you're gonna run into Judah and Joseph, or was that Reuben? Yeah, Reuben and Joseph. You know, they're gonna get into a lot of these little brother quarrels. Like you run into it with David's kids. Um, not Absalom. Oh my God, you run into it with two of David's kids. They hate each other like that. So that this is like a really, really common trope of these sibling disagreements, or hatreds, I should say.
And it's like Israel, Judah talks about themselves as the land that was ugly at first and
Mm-hmm.
um, ended up becoming like influential and
Mm-hmm.
small, and nobody cared about them. Like they overlooked people. Like they
Mm-hmm.
were so jealous of Ephraim. They were jealous of Ephraim. They were jealous of any nation that was big. They wanted what other people had, and I
Mm-hmm.
think this um, Rachel's jealousy and envy of her sister as she sees her sister being fruitful, right?
Mm-hmm.
And she's like, "Give me children or I will die." That to me, that's
So,
Judah to the God. Give me land or I will die. Give me slaves. Give me wealth or I will die. Like
mm-hmm.
to me, that's what I see. Because I just see this story is about a bunch of uh, a group of people who saw the prosperity or the saw society civilization moving forward, and they were jealous because they didn't have the means, and they eventually ended up becoming a kingdom, an influential kingdom, but not until like the 7th century. But during all this time, while the North is growing, right?
Mm-hmm.
Um, they're jealous and they feel like they felt like they were the favorite of God and that they should have all the blessings that the North was getting, and that's what I'm starting to see because it's just a lot of jealousy in this story, and a lot of we don't have because we were chosen by God. But
Right.
in a minute we will have because we're God's favorite. Once those that have, God takes it away and gives it to us.
And
which
that's
is what
that. Yeah,
what we hear Christians say today.
yep. I was just about to say, and that's the trouble that you still here now. Like we messed up now because God loves us, and He gonna show us His love later on.
Yeah, like the reason why you're suffering is because you've been chosen by God.
Yeah, which is crazy. Don't choose me,
And
unchoose me.
right. And
Yeah.
Jacob, I guess, and the here's the crazy part. In this story, Jacob would represent the God, right?
Hmm.
Jacob chose Rachel, but Rachel suffered and she was barren and she couldn't produce until later on when God opened her womb and produced the north. But the God in the text favored Leah.
Hmm. Hmm.
They'll ignore that and they'll call themselves Rachel the whole time
Or at least, yeah, 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 yeah,
because Leah was blessed by the God. Rachel was the one that suffered, right? Rachel
yeah.
was the one that was overlooked by the God. And when it came to both of them, honestly, both of them, Leah was overlooked by Jacob, the deceiver,
Yes.
and Rachel, the beautiful one, was overlooked by the God. I don't know. It's kind of confusing to me.
It's a lot of posture. Yeah,
Yeah.
it's not like an easy straight line, and
Mm-mm.
that's how you know a lot of this is what makes me believe. This is all the argument and redactions are happening here and there. You got wages here, you don't have wages there. This one's cute, this one ain't. She's technically blessed, but not really because God gave this one, in the land, and that was those children ended up being Jacob's favorite children,
Yeah.
right? And they end up, but you end up losing Joseph. Yeah, yeah,
Out of jealousy, right? The
yeah,
brothers are jealous, and they, you know what I'm saying? Like,
yes.
oh, because she's right. It's that's Joseph was Rachel's son, was it?
Joseph was
Joseph
Rachel's
was
son. Yes,
Rachel's son.
that's Rachel's son.
And it's like, oh, they're so jealous of the one that suffered and was ignored by God at first. And
Hmm.
like in the whole story, just like, yeah.
Yeah, yeah. So it's this is what causes me to believe. Okay, this is not like some straight line. Someone just sits down and writes this. This is a lot of redactions and people, putting their spin on this story. They have a tradition about this that up there that they don't have down here. And so, how do I put all this into one story, right? And you see, it just doesn't work smooth. Right. If you pay attention, you'll see the little threads that's kind of sticking out that don't really make sense in a congruent story.
Yeah.
Right.
I think another thing, like that word divination sticking out to me too, because can we please talk about, first off, let me say, Jacob is in a period where that karma is kicking his ass because he has met his match. He's met a deceiver that's on the same level with him.
There you go.
Because the deal that Laban made with Jacob, Laban ends up taking all of the speckled and spotted of the cattle and sending it off with his son so that Jacob doesn't actually get anything.
Yeah.
But because Jacob is a deceiver and he recognized game, he
And
already had a different plan and he plans on deceiving Laban.
you got the magic stick.
And he had to, so it was divination used, right? um when he's like, is the concept that divination was used, or like is that what the writer wants us to believe? Is that divination was used when Jacob peeled that stick and put the goats in front of it and had them made in front of it, right? And then he produced more spotted, speckled of the goat so that he gets more, right?
Yeah.
Of those than Jacob. Like, is the writer trying to let us know that divination was a common practice
Well,
amongst them, basically?
divination in what? Okay. When we say the word divination, what do you mean when you say divination?
Like talking to sages, doing rituals,
Well, it's definitely a
uh
ritual. Yeah, it's definitely a
mhm.
ritual. Because it's not like, again, there's nothing biological that's happening from looking at a stick. So it's definitely some kind of ritual. Yeah.
Yeah, like so trying to like some supernatural type
Yes.
thing is what it's
Yes.
trying to show, right?
Yes.
Because like the whole just the word like, oh, I've learned through divination that I've been blessed. You don't need divination to tell you that you've been blessed. And like if you notice that
You
your
can
your
count.
Yeah, you could just see, like, hey, ever since this dude got here, shit's been good,
It's
right?
been popping, right?
Yeah, and like
Yeah,
to just put that there, and then later on in the text, Jacob is actually doing something that appears to be a ritual, some type of witchcraft or something. It to me, I think the writer, is wanted us to think that,
yeah,
if that makes sense.
yeah,
Um,
yeah,
yeah, and then we see that these are two manipulators going back. They're manipulating each other, and then to say that it's divine favor. Oh, I'm blessed because you are blessed by God. No, motherfucking, y'all doing this. Y'all manipulating this.
yeah,
Like, this is
yeah,
human manipulation. Y'all are doing this. This isn't no supernatural entity just up and blessing. Like, even the women are manipulating by having their uh female slaves sleep with Jacob so that they can have children. Like, it's all human manipulation in here, and
yes.
they're calling it, oh, God
God,
has blessed me.
yes,
Yeah. I
yes.
think that's interesting too.
Yeah, yeah, that's it. And you see that a lot. Again, she went in there and bought that meat for some mandrakes, which is crazy.
Yeah.
Buying meat for free is crazy. Crazy.
Oh my God. And when she could just literally go out and pick her own mandrake. Like, what was stopping her from doing that?
She just didn't want to do that. Wanted to get them right there. So she got them.
That's crazy. Yeah.
And I mentioned, let me see. I, let me find out now. I can't spell. Okay, yeah. Also, mandrakes are aphrodisiacs. Throw that out there.
What?
Yes. I thought I knew that. Yeah, yeah. Mandrakes are aphrodisiacs, and they've been known as have the aphrodisiac qualities for a long time. Yeah.
So I wonder if they knew that
I
back
mean,
then.
it says that mandrakes are uh, even in the Song of Solomon, it's a mandrake is considered an aphrodisiac.
What?
Yeah,
That's weird. For the That's weird.
yeah,
Why did they put the okay?
yeah.
It's
So
weird
maybe she wanted the
for the
mandrake to get
and it's
the
coming from her son. The aphrodisiac is coming from a third. I don't even think Ruben was 13 at the time.
probably not even 13. But he just went to pick him. But if he was coming to get him, if he was going to pick him for his mama, then maybe his mama was going to use them in a manner with his daddy. But then the other sister saw, like, hey, let me get them. And then she was like, you already stole my man. Now you're trying to take the da-da-da-da with the mandrakes. Then she's like, okay, well, you can keep the man. Just let me get the mandrakes. She's like, all right, fair enough. Take the mandrake. I'm going to get the man. That way you
And
can't use the mandrake.
that's when Rachel had a child after
Mm-hmm.
she ate the mandrakes.
Then she had a kid. Yeah.
So does the mandrakes have like fertility benefits as well? Was it aphrodisia? Like, could she not? That's interesting.
If you look up in the U.S. Forest Service, if you go to forestservice.usda.gov, talk about mandrakes, and there's a little reference that says there references to mandrakes in Genesis and Song of Solomon, where the scent of mandrakes' yellow fruits are described as having aphrodisiac properties. Um, it says it is no wonder then that mandrakes came to be considered the Viagra of the Middle World.
The Viagra, they also were used for fertility aid. It
Yeah,
says it was used. Mandrakes were a common fertility aid in medicinal lore for centuries.
yeah.
They were also used as a painkiller and a hallucinogen.
They was
I
high,
told you they were high, high,
high.
high, high
Yep,
in the ancient Near East.
yep,
But
yep.
the fact, okay, so now I understand the whole purpose of the mandrake being there. So she ate the mandrake, and the benefits of the mandrake helped her not be barren anymore. And then that's how Leah became unbarren, because Leah was eating the mandrakes too.
Clearly, that
See
was
what I'm
married.
saying? Like human manipulation,
Yeah,
natural herbs, stuff like that.
yeah.
And I don't think that, like, at this point in time, did the people think that their God actually did these big miracles that Christians today believe. Like, oh, it has to be the God. No medicine, no nothing. No hands-on human activity. It has to be the God. I don't.
Mhm.
Just that alone tells me that the writers at this time did not even see it that way either.
Well, I mean, even now in Christian lore, there is still a certain lore about like olive oil or
Hmm.
water, or like take this water, drink 7 glasses of water a day, and then pray at night, and then or this prayer cloth, or so that they believe that it's a weird place because it's to some degree you believe that this olive oil means something. It does something. It is the conduit through which God works, right? Like this glass of water is the conduit through which God works. And it seems as though the same thing is true about like Aaron's rod or Moses' rod or the striped stick or the mandrake or any of these um, physical objects that become the conduit,
Hmm.
right? So it's but it's because they didn't have medicine, right? So now in Christianity, it kind of works the same way. You have this physical object like the cross, for example. If somebody saw me, I don't know, kick down a cross, right? There was a cross in somebody's yard, I just kicked it over. It wouldn't just be because I kicked something over in somebody's yard. It carries a special. Oh my God, you're right. You kick down a cross. It's just a piece of wood, right?
Yeah.
But it's not just a piece of wood. It's a magical piece of wood.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's what they would call it. They would say you're blaspheming because
Yeah.
yeah, that's
Yeah.
sacrilegious. Yeah. So,
Like what was that dude? It was that guy from TikTok that used to roll up the J's in the Bible verses. In the
I don't Dash.
is that his name? Yeah. Right. Of course, it's just paper, but no, it's not just paper. It's special paper because it's
It,
got words on it.
and those words put together and say God.
Yeah, you see what I'm saying. So
Yeah.
the same kind. There's it's a certain thing it's like a totem, right? Like this is your totem, right? There's something magical about it, even though it's just a piece of fruit, or I don't know.
Yeah, and that's what. Thank you for saying that last part because learning that the reason why they believed that the mandrake had fertility benefits is because it resembled a human body is hilarious to me. But it does. It looks like um a golem.
Yeah, it looks like a little golem.
Yeah.
Yeah, yeah. But yeah, so that's the thing about it, right? So it's like you get these little superstitions. Hey, this kind of looks like a person. Maybe they help me have another person or whatever. Um, blah blah blah. So yeah, but these are just little traditions that we go through, right? Like, and we make up these little things in our mind, and we still somehow ascribe them to a god or whatever.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah. That's interesting. And
You know,
he's still a deceiver uh
absolutely,
in my eyes. And
absolutely.
he just got deceived.
Players get got, bro.
Yep.
Players get got. That was
All
fun.
right. Yeah, I enjoyed that. Was a good conversation. You got anything else you want to say before we close it down?
That'll do it. Make sure you guys are hitting that like, that subscribe button, man. Make sure you're
40
sharing this
more.
with your people. Get
40
closer and
more to
closer to
go.
1,000. We're moving on up. So thank you so much for all that you have done. Let's make sure that we're sharing these and hitting the like. And thank you for all the comments. They helps the algorithm.
Is mandrake poison? Vanity said it's poison.
Is it poisonous? Let's see. Let us see.
That would probably be why it caused like hallucination. Oh, a high dose can be fatal. Holy crap.
Yeah, yeah.
In third division. But Leah's eyes was Leah eating mandrake? Has Leah been eating mandrakes her whole life before? Is that why she was so fertile? Oh my gosh.
It says it can be used to trigger vomiting,
Oh my
um,
gosh.
but can also just make you sleepy and reduce pain. I guess, but anything in a high enough dose could be fatal. Yeah, I guess that's true.
Yeah. That's
Yeah.
interesting. All right. Well, we are out here. I'll see y'all later on tonight. I hope y'all have a beautiful rest of your Sunday.
Y'all be good, man.
Until next time.
All right.
Bye. Make sure you like, share, and subscribe.